Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Built Like This podcast. I'm your host, Maxine. We're on episode 352. Hello, hello. So, first of all, I want to apologize to all of the FBAs out here who ripped me up to shreds in the comments on one of my Podmas. I think it was the very last Podmas episode. And I was like, let's fight. Let's fight. Because I don't back down to my, But then I realized, no, I stand to be corrected. And I sure as hell was corrected. So let's get into that real quick, just to kind of circle back. So just for some context, Fat Joe came under some fire recently because of his comments, his harsh comments upon the FBA community. And by FBA, I mean the Foundational Black Americans. Now, with that title or that label or that identifier, it simply means those who have Black Americans who have direct descendants from American slaves. Okay, so Black American slaves. So their lineage comes from comes from America in particular. And it you know how people are like, oh, where you from? No, where you from? Where you from? And they expect you to say, oh, I'm really from Trinidad, or I'm from Haiti, or I'm from, XYZ. Where your parents from? Where your people's from? Those who are FBA, instead of them saying, oh yeah, my parents are from Trinidad, their parents are from North Carolina, and then their grandparents are from Mississippi, and then it continues to lead them back to a state in the USA. That is what I knew. That I understood that. The reason why I got torn up to shreds in the comments was my perspective is, okay, I just don't like the divisiveness that take place between FBAs and tethers. And that's a term that I've learned from Tariq Nasheed. I used to watch his videos pretty consistently, and I will see his commentary here and there, but I'm familiar with that term because of him. And tethers describe Black people who come from abroad, or not. Well, when you say abroad, you think of like London, but Black people who come from the Caribbean, Black people who come from Africa directly, like any country from Africa. So whether they're from Ghana or Nigeria, whatever, but Black people who don't have direct descendants from, or direct ancestors from America. Anyway, so like, though I'm from here, like I was born here in America, my parents are from Haiti. Therefore, maybe Tariq Nasheed will see me as a tether. Nonetheless, the point is, my perspective is, I don't like seeing Black people continue to find reasons to divide ourselves from other Black people, because I feel like we're doing the work of the racist white person. And though I still would appreciate less divisiveness between or amongst Black people, I do understand the passion, or I'm now understanding more of the passion and the purpose behind differentiating between the two groups. And I say that because, unfortunately, you have Black Americans still fighting to receive the reparations that they deserve, and the recognition, and the apology, right? All of these things, the resources that they deserve. I'm saying but you know what I mean, just to kind of be very technical here, because again, my parents are not from Mississippi, my parents are directly from Haiti. So I do understand the difference in conversation that I land with this topic. It's a very not toxic, I want to say, but it's a very polarizing topic. It could be uncomfortable to have, but hey, I am open to other perspectives, and I appreciate some comments that were respectful. And I've been using the phrase of I stand to be corrected, or I stand to be correct, or I stand corrected. I've been using that recently because I'm like, wait, I never used that before. When I would hear it, I understood it incorrectly. I understood it as I stand correct, right? I stand correct in what I say. I'm right. I took it as a prideful statement, and I didn't hear it too often, like growing up or even in my environment now, my social group now. People don't typically say that. But I've been hearing it a lot on the Joe Budden podcast because Ish says that a lot, and sometimes Mel. Nonetheless, I've learned, thanks to Freckles Bay, what that term means, what that phrase means. And I love words. I'm such a, I'm an English major, and I have my degree in English literature, my bachelor's in English literature, and I'm a teacher. Like all these, I love words. So whenever I learn a new word or a new phrase or a new way to express myself, it's just so fun. So I stood corrected. No, did I say it right? I stand corrected. I stand corrected. That's so fun. Anyway, I stand corrected because there was one comment that was like sister girl, and you could tell he was a FBA, FBI, all of that, and he was like, let me see if I can find it, but I am open to that. Look, I am not perfect, and I don't come from that background. I really don't. There is a difference. Not to say that I don't agree with what you're saying. I understand that my perspective is totally different. So, with that being said, I respect the different perspectives or the truth. Yeah. Fat Joe has been hosting the BET Awards for quite some time, but apparently he has now decided to step down. Yes, he has stepped down from hosting the show, the award show, and one may guess, probably accurately, that it's due to the backlash that he got from his recent comments. Now, I want to give you guys some more context in case you guys forgot, because again, this was a couple of months ago, not too long, probably more so a few weeks ago. But this have been an ongoing point of tension, and I do think it's rightfully so. I do. Yes, I'm all about. I guess I'm like this, like Rodney. What's that guy? I'm about to say Rodney Jerkins, but y'all know Rodney King. Can we all just get along, right? That, but then I feel like saying that also comes across as dismissive and rude, and I don't aim to be that way. I really don't. So yes, absolutely. Let's have more conversations about the friendship between the two groups, or more than two groups. But nonetheless, I do think it's fair to say FBA deserves to have the title, and ADOS, that's a whole nother one, right? I think it's still kind of similar, but I didn't want to say too much because I'm not well versed, and I'm not trying to get eaten up. Like, dang. The way I feel like it's like a whistleblower, like in whistle, people just like FBI. What the fuck is this shit about FBI? What the fuck? Like, God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please don't beat me up. Please don't beat me up. Anyway, so this is what he said on a podcast not too long ago, and his vitriol was loud. It was very much loud, and it ruffled a lot of feathers. And it got into the conversation of, is Fat Joe even black? Right? Can't Fat Joe even say nigga anymore? Like, can't Fat Joe, we've been giving this nigga some passes. And then it got into the conversation of who is the one who created hip hop. Because I did not even introduce that topic on the episode that I'm referring to. on my podcast. That's a whole other topic. Like because Fat Joe is known to have said Hispanics, right? Spanish people are the ones who who created hip hop, hippity hop hop. And a lot of Black Americans are really upset with that because, again, it's another opportunity for people to erase the work and the innovation and the creativity that Black people continue to demonstrate in our history, yet it continues to be ignored and discredited, et cetera, et cetera. So let's go ahead and get into this clip. I'm gonna start from the beginning
because I think people outside of New York, it's hard for them to understand. Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Trinidadians, Jamaicans, Guyanese.
First of all, let's start by this.
Around each other.
Let's start by this. These rumors were made by radical Black racists. Let's just say that. Okay, it's a group of these guys that don't want to hear Jamaican, don't want to hear Guyanese, they don't want to hear a Black guy that ain't down with them. Right. So their job is to criticize anybody who don't look like them or who ain't Black American.
Who are these guys?
You want me to say a name? We're going to give them too much clout.
I mean,
the FBA, Foundational Black Authority, whoever the fuck these broke niggas is. I'm just keeping it a buck. And their shit is to attack everybody on Twitter. You see this nigga who run them? Like, your leader? Yo, man, you got to be fucking kidding me, man. And so they trying to change the narrative. They're not from New York.
Right.
I grew up loving Busta Rhymes, but fuck that nigga.
Oop. All right. So there we have it. That was the interview that did Fat Joe. Well, he did himself dirty, really. He did himself dirty with that interview because of his strong tone here. He was very much passionate, very much just upset and angry towards Black racists and Black radicals. And one could even say there's no such thing as a racist Black person, right? Black people don't have the power to be racist. Now, we don't have to get into that because I do believe Black people could be racist. Absolutely. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, I think I was listening to a podcast, the Joe Budden podcast. I'm a Joe Venger. And someone called in and talked about the purpose for FBAs and the reason why they stand on business and continue to speak out against any times when their contributions to society is being erased or disregarded or discarded in general. And it's oftentimes they're radicalized or they're described as radicals, right? Oh, you're being divisive. Oh, you're being radical. Look at you. You're being so argumentative when that same energy isn't had for Jewish people. And I'm saying that with the air quotes because but that is said for them or other groups of people in particular. Whenever it's time for Black Americans to stand on business and really fight for their rights and call out hypocrisy and call out moments when their contribution to society has been discarded, they're immediately painted as, oh, you're this angry Black person, you're being divisive, you're being radical. When we think about the most honorable Louis Farrakhan, I'm saying it right? I'm sorry. But yeah, Minister Farrakhan, let's just say that. He's immediately painted as anti-Semitic, this radical, Black terrorist, all these crazy terms, when in all actuality, he's saying and speaking to the upliftment of Black Americans. But anyway, I just want to kind of leave that there. This is my this is my way of saying, okay, yeah, I got that. I stand corrected. And yeah, that's totally fine. Totally fine. Talk to me in the comments. That's totally fine. Let me know how you think about that. And if there's anything else that needs to be said, let me know. I am open to hearing other perspectives. Absolutely. So yeah, so he has stepped down. Let me go ahead and share what has been shown. So he was hosting I haven't watched the BT Awards in a minute, so I can't tell you how long he's been hosting it, but clearly he's been hosting it for a long time.
You know, thank you. I resigned as host of the BET Hip Hop Awards because real shit. 2 Chainz said I've been monopolizing, so he said, "Yo, let me host. I know I could be a good host." I said, "You know what, my brother, you could be the host of that shit."
Okay, so who knows if this is an official announcement? I don't know what show he's on right now, but it seemed like it was a surprise for him to say that to this host. And it seemed like he kind of just blurted it out. But if this is true, then there we have it. Maybe 2 Chainz is going to be the new host. And maybe Fat Joe felt the need to step down because of the vitriol hate he was receiving from foundational Black Americans, and rightfully so, now that I understand some more. So thank you again for cussing me the fuck out. Cuss me out. Okay, I want to just jump into this hot topic, and I'm saying that with a pun included, because the Views co-host Sunny Hostin, her husband is found accused for fraud. Yes, fraud. Now, I find it to be so ironic because Sunny Hostin, she has a way of sitting on her high horse and talking on The View, talking about how Trump is this convicted felon and yada, 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 and just going on and on about the wrongdoings of Trump. So for her husband to actually be named as one of the ones accused recently for insurance scam, that has to be quite embarrassing, to say the least. Her husband, I remember she said he is Haitian. I don't know if he's directly from Haiti, but she would share a little bit about him. And I remember she mentioned that he is Haitian. I just wanted to point that out because that's, a cool fact. But nonetheless, he has been found just accused at the moment. His name is Emmanuel, Dr. Manny, because she calls him Manny. His full name is Emmanuel, and he is a doctor. He's actually a surgeon. So that's pretty awesome. But here's the thing with these doctors. Y'all don't understand. A lot of these medical professionals, a lot of them are scammers. Hello? A lot of them are scammers. A lot of them find ways to push their patients to go through with a procedure, a medicine, anything that they could push upon their patient because they get a financial incentive from that. I remember I was seeing this doctor and I was curious about my fertility options. And after some test results, she was pushing a particular procedure for me to have. And I don't want to get too detailed about that, but she was pushing a procedure. She was pushing it. And I kept saying, I wanted some time to think about it. I'm not sure yet, because I was still just kind of wrapping my mind around the idea of this being my only option in order for me to be able to produce. And I was wondering, why is she getting so antsy for me to go through with this procedure? After further research and some understanding of how doctors and their third parties work and insurance work, they all get a cut from the patient saying yes to a procedure, um, a visit, anything. They all get a cut from it. So it benefits her more. I'm sure it could have benefited me, but if I wasn't comfortable yet, if I wasn't interested in yet, and I wanted to wait, that should have been respected. Instead, her main agenda was to push me to say yes to this procedure. And it just speaks to the fact that doctors can very much be scammers too. People think that, oh, you're in this like respected role, right? This is a respected role in society. And there's no way you could be among the scum of people who decide to do things that is just scummy, right? You know, things that a liar would do. Doctors aren't liars, right? You look at doctors and you think of someone who's trustworthy. You think of someone who you would give your body to because they are skilled and well versed in how to take care of you. So to find out that Sunny Hostin's husband, who is a surgeon, was named or is named among the nearly 200 people in a new federal lawsuit that accuses him of insurance fraud, I find to be very, very interesting, to say the least. Now, with this insurance fraud, again, doctors and third parties, they have a way of making sure that they're tight with each other, right? They're in harmony with each other in order to get what they need to get from it. It's all a team. So according to the court documents obtained by Entertainment Weekly, the orthopedic surgeon is individually accused in the December suit of having knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services, including arthroscopic surgeries to covered persons through Hostin Orthopedics that he purportedly performed and allegedly fraudulently billed insurance company. So because of that fraudulent billing, him and his team are receiving extra pay, extra money, extra resources because the insurance company is under the impression that, oh, I'm getting billed because of this service that was performed. But what's being said here, the service wasn't performed. And it was all false. It was all fraudulent. American transit through each of those entities in exchange for kickbacks and or other compensation, which were disguised as dividends or other cash distributions. So again, Sunny Hostin, this is your husband. You want to talk about Trump being this convicted felon and this is America being led by Trump, by this convicted felon? Well, you're being led by your husband who's a fraud. He's a scammer. He's accused of insurance fraud. Speak to that. Okay, speak to that. And according to a government provided description, no fault is designed to pay promptly, regardless of who is at fault or whether there was any negligence for economic losses. So this means any medical health expenses, lost earnings, and certain other reasonable and necessary expenses related to injuries were sustained. And that was up to $50,000 per person. To the driver and all passengers injured in your car, as well as any pedestrians injured by your car. because of its use or operation in New York State. Now, of course, Sonny, Manny, and the others did not respond in requests for a comment about this accusation, but he's listed. He's on the suit. It's not alleged. It's not alleged that he's listed. Now, it may be alleged that he's a part of it, but it's not alleged that he has been listed and accused of such horrible, deplorable behavior. So yeah, Sonny Hostin, it's best to not be so high on your horse. It's best to shut the F up, okay? Because your husband may be a convicted felon, just like who y'all like to say a lot, even though he's not technically, his case was dismissed, Trump. Yeah. So there we have that. Let's move on to our next topic for this episode. Twitch. Oh, Lord. Y'all remember Twitch, this very talented dancer who was Ellen DeGeneres, like, I don't want to say monkey, but like show monkey in a sense. No disrespect. He decided to end his life, allegedly, because even that I was looking at sideways. Anyway, that's what was reported. And he did it through a gunshot. Okay, he decided to do it through a gunshot. He was a DJ for the Ellen DeGeneres show, and we know the Ellen DeGeneres show, because it was the Ellen show at one point. The Ellen DeGeneres show recently got canceled after Ellen has been found out to be a bitch. People said she is too mean. We don't like working for her. It's a hostile work environment. And it led to her being canceled. She was ultimately canceled to the point where she is now, I think she already moved. I know she was talking about moving out of the country. This probably has happened or is about to happen soon. And it did also happen, or the talk of it at least, happened right after President-elect Trump got into the position that he's in now. So who knows? But I feel like there's something more to that. I think the convenience is, oh, I'm so mad that Trump is president. I'm going to go move out of the country. But Ellen has been named or conspired as being a part of the Illuminati and movements that are too powerful for me to name in particular or get into detail with here on this public platform. So if you know, you know. But Ellen, there's a lot of conspiracies, and I'm saying that loosely because I don't like using that term, but just to bridge some understanding, there's a lot of conspiracies around Ellen being involved with dark activities, to say the least. Anyway, Steven, who's known as Twitch boss, that's his boss is his last name. He was married to this woman here. This is a woman who, I guess she's ambiguous. I'm not too sure. Let's just say she's a white woman. Her name is Allison Hulker, and she was the wife and mother of Twitch. Twitch was actually just 36 years old when he decided to allegedly end his life. And it was very startling. It was startling news because he seemed to be very happy. Like, he would dance a lot and very energetic. And he was responsible for the joy in the room, right? Like, when he was on the show every day, he would get the crowd pumping, get them excited, and dance with them, invite Ellen to dance. Like, he was the show starter. That's what he was. So to learn that he was allegedly suffering from depression and felt like the only way out was to end, it was definitely hard to hard to bear and it was hard to believe, but that was the narrative that was pushed. And actually, a few days, probably just a day before he passed, he and his wife had a video up on Instagram of them dancing as a family. So the point is, you know, people could say, okay, maybe he truly was suffering from depression, and it was to the point where, you know, you don't know what someone's going through. And people like to say often, check on your strong friends. And I do agree with that statement, but I do think something else happened, or something more troubling took place here that resulted to the loss of his life. So we have here his wife, or widow. She has recently opened up to People magazine in a revealing interview. And this interview speaks to her findings and revelations, alleged revelations of the life that her late husband lived. And actually, no, I don't think he was 36. He was 40. She's 36. But yeah, he was 40 when he passed. So yes, Allison, his wife, his widow, opened up to People magazine in a revealing interview to promote her memoir, This Far. Okay, so she has a book coming out, and it's telling us about her life. It's a memoir. Now, who is she beyond her husband, her late husband? I don't know. I've never been aware of who she is. I want to say that she was a dancer like him. So maybe maybe that's true. Maybe that's the case, and that's how they met. I don't know, but I just didn't feel the need for her to promote or write a book, and like, that was just a very strange thing. But if you look at it from the perspective of, you know, maybe this is the woman who needs to figure out ways to support her family now that she is a mother on her own, maybe that's it. In the interview published Tuesday, Holker recalls discovering a cornucopia of drugs in her late husband's shoe boxes ahead of his funeral. So she's saying here that right before his funeral was arranged and scheduled to happen, she discovered a bunch of drugs in his shoe boxes. Now, remember, Twitch was this happy-go-lucky type of character. He was a choreographer, a DJ, and a former co-host of the Ellen DeGeneres show. And I think he was also on So You Think You Could Dance. So to hear that he allegedly was battling a drug addiction, I don't know. And she said that she had no idea. She had no idea that he struggled with any of this. She says verbatim, it was a really triggering moment for me because there were a lot of things I discovered in our closet that I did not know existed. She said it was a bunch of drugs, including mushrooms, pills, and other substances. She also says, quote, it was very alarming to me to learn that there was so much happening that I had no clue about. It was a really scary moment in my life to figure that out. But it also helped me process that he was going through so much and he was hiding so much. And there must have been a lot of shame in that. Now, a lot of people are not buying it. A lot of people are not. And it's not just the fans, you know, the people who don't know him personally, but his family, they're not buying it as well. Family and friends. And they're actually quite outraged that his wife would go about revealing such information in her new book. I think this is her first book, probably. So she's releasing this memoir with this detailed information, with this uncomfortable information. And they don't buy it. They feel like she is not telling the truth and she's a liar. And Twitch's cousin decided to reply to her on X, formerly known as Twitter, and says that basically this woman here is tarnishing the legacy of his cousin, of Twitch. And he hasn't been given access to see their 3 children. He says that he was not an addict. Sure, he smoked weed and was actively trying to quit that, but he was not some junkie. And I think here there's just a lot of people finding issue with her decision to write this book. And it seems to me that there is tension between her and his family, and it seemed to be a long-standing one. Another family member says, "This crazy woman made me and his actual family, including his mother, sign a non-disclosure agreement just to even attend the funeral." That's crazy. That is crazy. And I do find that to be suspicious. Why do you need to sign this document to attend the funeral of this man who is my blood relative? What is it about this funeral or what will be said or done that you want me to be tight-lipped about? She says she's been trying to tarnish his legacy only to exploit and lie on my cousin. Hell no. The same person wrote in 2023, when this took place, that the majority of his family and friends were forced to sign an NDA just to go to his funeral, again, including his mom. It's some crazy mess, honestly. It is some crazy mess. It does make you wonder what's true, what's not. Was he an addict? And it makes you wonder, like, how can a wife not be aware of any possible signs of addiction, of drug addiction in her husband? That is what I don't understand. Like, it's one thing to have, I guess, separate lives, but if you guys are still living in the same home and very much tight and close, that is a cause for concern that this big detail was missed. There's no way. And for him to be so meticulous to make sure to put his drugs in his shoebox every time, I just don't buy it. I don't think it's true. It really shocked me to learn of the news of his passing, because wow. And yes, I understand there are people who pass by their choice, and you would never even assume that because, wow, they seem to be so strong. They seem to be so happy. And yes, but I also feel like there are crumbs that people leave behind. So even the ones who seem the most happy, right? The most peaceful expression that they may have on their face, if you know them personally, you may be aware of some things that they may do. Maybe they've had moments of emotional dysregulation and they would be hysterical, and you remember those moments, right? Maybe they reached out to you and demonstrated that moment. That could be a cause for concern. So it wouldn't be so surprising, not too surprising at least, if someone were to take their life, if that was the case. So you mean to tell me he had no signs? She was aware of nothing? Like, did she have another life? Like, was she not really checked in with him? Was it all a front? Who knows? But rest in peace to him. It's still very sad news that he is no longer here with us. And I just hope their children are just doing the best that they can. Now, let's just go to some news that is raunchy. Let's go ahead and go to some news that's some raunchy news. So, I don't think we ever talked about the NYPD chief Jeffrey Madre, who is accused of allegations of sex for overtime scheme. And what I mean by that is one of his employees, because he's the superior here, and those who are under him, literally, he allowed overtime. He will sign off on it and they will earn extra money. I want to go ahead and play this interesting breakdown of this case because the story is just very uncomfortable. Like, it's wild. So again, this takes place in New York. This man here, Jeffrey Madre, is known to have he admits it himself. Let's just go. I just want to play it for y'all because my gosh, I cannot. That's crazy. Let's get into it.
Sexual relationship with Miss Epps. And that she's essentially lying in this EEOC complaint. What do you think her motivation is to do this now? Would you mind if I answered that? Because, what happened here seems to be.
It wasn't appropriate for me to be in a relationship with anyone.
And so let me be clear. You're saying that you had a consensual relationship with Miss Epps. And that she's essentially lying in this EEOC complaint. What do you think her motivation is to do this now? Would you mind if I answered that? Because, what happened here seems to be that Lieutenant Epps was under investigation internally by the NYPD since October. And the allegations are that not only was she putting in for excessive overtime, but that she was actually putting in for overtime that she had not completed or done, so that she was effectively stealing time. So when she put in her retirement papers, 2 days later, the NYPD suspended her. And they suspended her because of suspicion that she had committed a crime, which is stealing overtime from the NYPD. It was abrupt.
Yes.
And some would say, well, if you didn't feel you did anything wrong, why did you leave so abruptly?
Well, there was a couple of things going on when I made the decision. I was already making a decision, and it was really weighing heavy on my mind. I was entering 35 years, almost completing 35 years of city service. I knew that I was going to have to fight, and I didn't want to have the constraints of the police department, being a chief of department, holding me back from fighting properly.
Okay, just to kind of break it down in case that's not clear for y'all, because I feel like that was a little too fast. This woman here, let me show y'all this picture. Her name is Quantisha Epps. She is a lieutenant. Well, she's no longer a lieutenant, but she was a lieutenant at the NYPD for many years. She went through a lot with the department, a lot personally, because she just has some health issues and she survived them time and time again. But she is under fire, literally, because of this allegation of sexual harassment and retaliation that she filed against Jeffrey B. Madre, who is the chief of department of the NYPD, who was the man who y'all just saw in the previous video. And what's alleged is she and her chief of department had a sexual relationship. And that sexual relationship allowed for her to file overtime, which granted her more money. Okay, she got a lot of money out of the overtime that she supposedly worked. Turned out she didn't work the overtime. Instead, she was just being signed off for it because of this connection that she had with Jeffrey B. Madre. Now, instead of owning up to her behavior and her choice to open her legs and sleep with this man for the benefit of extra pay, she instead says, he's been harassing me. He's been sexually coercing me. Therefore, I had no choice but to give up the goods time and time again. That was a lie. And that is a lie. You know what's just so funny to me? I think it's so funny how women, we cry so much about being victims or being manipulated, XYZ, but we don't shine a light to the women who purposely go out their way to perpetrate certain stories for their benefit. So instead of her saying, okay, look, yeah, we fucked, and that's because of my doing. It was a quid pro quo type of situation, meaning, hey, look, I give you this punani, you sign off on these forms so I could get some money. Because I think she made like over 400,000, and that's unlikely for her role. Yes, sure, she's a lieutenant, but still, lieutenants don't make 400,000. When you are working a people servicing type of job, you're not likely to make that much money, especially specifically 400,000 a year. Like, what are we talking about? And it's being alleged that Jeffrey B. Marjorie actually has a history of doing such. There's another woman in the department whom he has had relations with as well for the benefit of a quid pro quo situation. I mean, the list goes on. So he's saying, look, yes, it was inappropriate of me to have had this office fling with her. He's like chopping up to office fling because, you know, he's married. He's trying to look good in front of his wife and all this bullshit, whatever. But he's saying, I'm going to stand 10 toes down and say, I did not harass this woman. I did not put her to a corner. It was a decision that was consensual amongst adults. And this was a consistent thing. This was an understanding. So let's take a listen at this other example here, or just video breaking down this case as well.
Jeffrey Madry is responding to serious accusations. He resigned from the department after being accused of approving overtime in exchange for sex. He and his lawyer faced cameras late this afternoon, and Eyewitness News reporter Anthony Carlo was there for us.
But rest assured, the men and women of the NYPD will be out there.
As chief of department, Jeffrey Madry often found himself in front of cameras answering for the city's public safety. Friday, the now former chief was back in front of cameras defending himself against sexual misconduct allegations. His lawyer boasting of evidence he says proves it was all consensual.
X-rated and racy videos and photographs from Lieutenant Epps, who is a self-professed swinger.
Wait. Why did he have to tell us that? I did not know about that. Wow. Okay. I feel like that was said to further taint her image. Yes, she made this decision, but hey, look. And yes, he consensually made this decision. I want you to look at her more deeply and realize she's a swinger. She's a swinger. Like, she's disgusting. Look at her. She swings. So fixate the spotlight on her more than this chief here. I feel like, look, he's in a position of power. So regardless of it being consensual or not, I'm not saying that he harassed her or coerced her. I do believe that there are so many cases, so many situations every day. It doesn't have to be a chief of New York Police Department. It could be the principal at your school and the superintendent at your school. Like, it could be anybody. The point is, when you are in the position of power, you should think twice and say, yeah, no, I shouldn't do this. And if you really love that woman, like if you really feel like, oh wow, this is a relationship I could see happening for real, then leave that position. One of y'all has to quit. Like if you really feel like it's a love thing, one of y'all has to quit. But according to Jeffrey Maddrey himself, he said this was an office fling. So something light, something convenient. Because a lot of people do that. When you work, you are eventually, naturally forming relationships, whether it's a friendship or more, with your coworkers. Because oftentimes you are spending more time at work than you are at home, unfortunately. Especially depending on your job. Especially if you're doing a lot of overtime, especially if you don't have much of a personal life outside of work. So you make your work your life, so it feels more personal for you. These things do happen, but that doesn't mean that it should happen, period. I know that we're living in la la land. It's going to happen regardless. This won't be the last case. But I just feel like, again, for this to be an office fling, I feel like he should have chosen better. He should have made a wise choice and say, yeah, I shouldn't do this. I'm sure he could go to a strip club. Like, if you want some convenience fling, he could find someone else. There are sites for that. That's legal and that's not opposed to the ethics at your job. But yeah, this lawyer, lawyers are nasty work, child. Nasty work. For him to say she is in fact a swinger. I want to hear that again. That's hilarious.
Consensual.
X-rated and racy videos and photographs from Lieutenant Epps, who is a self-professed swinger. And we have all this evidence because she sent it.
The now very public, ugly legal battle started with a discrimination complaint lodged by...
Anyway, yeah, it's very ugly. Your business gets out there. I mean, it's a choice she made. I wonder if she's married too. I wonder if she is married too. But yeah, she made $200,000 in overtime. Where did I get that $400,000 from? Maybe that was something else. There's something I saw about 400,000. But yeah, 200,000? Come on. And my thing is, how long has this been going on for them to finally realize, hey, we should look into the files more. We should do an audit. Like, how often do audits take place in situations like this? Lieutenant Quatisha Epps accused Maddrey of sexually harassing her in exchange for the $200,000 in overtime. And some would say, okay, well, if he was doing this quid pro quo type of thing in a way that made her feel coerced, why not just leave the position? Why not get another job? Why not leave? Why not tell somebody right then and there? The argument is, oh, I was in a hard time financially. Apparently she's trying to pay off her house. There were some things that she had to take care of financially. A lot of people are in a tight situation financially. A lot. Everyone's struggling. Look, we get it. But my goodness. Remember that story of the woman in Tennessee who was letting every officer hit? She was a police officer as well. This white little, I think she was like, what was she, like 20, 25? Tennessee cop who slept with her coworkers. Yo, this and then her husband, she was married. Yeah, she was married. Look, this woman right here. Y'all take a look. Make sure you are liking this video on YouTube. If you are watching us and you're enjoying this, if you are watching me, this is me. Yeah, this woman right here, she was fucking him, slobbing his knob, slobbing this other guy's knob, everybody had a piece. It was an understanding. Literally, she was just pound town. a former Tennessee police officer who was fired amid revelations of casual sex among sworn, often on duty personnel, alleged in a federal lawsuit that she was subjected to sexual grooming at girl. You're grown as what? Is that even possible for an adult? Get the fuck out get out of here. Megan Hall, who admitted to investigators that she participated. Yes, so that's a key word to be used. And you're saying grooming? Like, which one is it? Are you participating or are you being victimized? That she participated in sexual liaisons with 4 officers, 2 of whom were her superiors. Like, where are the ethics anymore? My God, at your workplace? God, your boss filed the suit in a district court in Nashville. So yeah, this is a thing that happens. People are fucking. It's happening. Doesn't make it right. Does not make it right. It makes it very messy and ugly in these circumstances. And I just wish that people will have the control to do it outside of the workplace. Come on. But you know, there's a thrill. I think there's a thrill to like, oh, you're my boss. Oh, you could fire me. Oh, we're on your desk. Like, there's like a kink to it. Hey, you know, can't kink shame. All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you are liking this video. You are subscribed. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for listening. And I will see you all next time. Peace.